the chair with Bex. Tell us about your name.
Hello, I'm Natasha Minter.
Tell everybody about yourself.
Oh, where to begin?
That's the real question.
That's a real question.
Right, we're gonna start from the beginning. You hear the accent? Say glass.
Glass. I had to think about that. I was like, how do I say it? Wow.
And guess where she's from?
Oh yeah, no, well I'm from, so I was actually born in Nuneaton. You might not know that about me.
No.
Outside of Birmingham, that is. And then I moved when I was just before I was 4, so I never went to more than one different primary school, if you get me. And yeah, so I lived in the same house growing up my whole life. My mum actually just moved back to that house, which is cool.
In Neaton?
No, it's actually, so the village I grew up in is called WYBUNBURY, which no one can ever say when they see the sign, because it actually is like said phonetically WYBUNBURY, which is just ridiculous. And it's like the middle of nowhere. It's really beautiful, a really nice, quiet village. Yeah, like I'm grateful because we had dogs, so it was really easy to take the dogs on a walk. Whereas
how many dogs?
Oh, we kind of had 2 most of my life, but like, you know, one would die and then one would get another one.
It's got really dark all of a sudden. It's like,
we had
one would die, then we just get another one.
My gran had a house in Spain, and you know, she just, my whole family loves dogs, and so she would rescue dogs from the rescue home.
Carry on.
And then bring them back to England, and then, you know, go back to Spain, and someone would need someone to look after the dog, and so we would inherit the dog.
What are they?
Oh gosh.
Not that I'm a dog expert.
Well, we had lots of boxers growing up.
Oh, okay.
My mum actually has 2 puppy boxers now who are just the maddest boxers my mum's ever had. They're nuts. And then we had a Jack Russell called Ellie. She was great, never thought we'd have a Jack Russell. And we had Samson, who was like a big wolf. He just passed away, and he was like a big wolf, but he was, yeah, probably my favourite because he just was so protective and looked scary, but actually was like the soppiest thing ever, which I feel like is how you could describe most of my family, you know?
Oh my god. Oh, they're really nice.
They're cool, but like, we can all talk, you know?
Okay, well, tell us about your family in terms of how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 sisters, but my cousin grew up with us a lot, so it always kind of felt like we had 5 of us.
Wow, just all cool. Women in the house.
All gals. What is that like? I don't
know. Describe it to me. Like,
it was a bit mad, but it was good. It was fun chaos. Like we, yeah, the mornings were insane. My mum doesn't like early mornings. Sorry, mum, I've totally exposed you. And it would be like, quick, get ready for school.
On talking about your families, you said you've got 4 sisters. And one cousin that is like
3 sisters,
oh,
yeah.
3 sisters, sorry.
And a cousin that's like a sister.
My bad. I'm literally talking like I don't even know this girl. Let me quickly introduce you. She's actually my business partner, and we've known each other for quite a long time now, right?
Yeah, like
how many years?
5 years. 5 years.
So anyway, I just want to just paint this, and then we can move on to Natasha. 4 sisters and
3 sisters.
Oh my god!
Many women. And look, my mum will be flattered thinking that she's one of the sisters, so we should just say that, and mum will really like that.
Yeah,
I mean, she's not super old, but yeah, she's 60 this year, you know. But growing up with them was cool. I mean, yeah, I suppose we had quite a interesting, it's really interesting talking about this after we've just done Transforming Hearts, because God really healed me this weekend from how I view my real dad, which is, yeah, really, really insane, because I never thought I would see my dad in a different way to what I had. Transforming Hearts this weekend, we spoke a lot about shame and about softening your hardened heart. And I kind of didn't realise, but they talk a lot about how some people with a hardened heart hide it and they don't even know that they're hiding it. And I was like, that is me. Or used to be me, not as much anymore, but it was really quite amazing kind of seeing many areas of like how I used to be and parts of my character. And yeah, they just, so many things were on the money with that, really. And one of the things that I really needed to be healed from, I think, was really about, you know, my dad left when I was 8, and so all of the things that came with that. And I think my family, we've really kind of gone through it, and I think all of us individually, if I talk just about me and my 3 sisters that lived together kind of all our life, we all, I think, experienced and my mum included, we all experienced my dad leaving, but obviously because everyone's different, you deal with it in a slightly different way, and all of us had different experiences. So my dad was really abusive and, you know, really physical with us, but me being, you know, 8 would remember it in a different way to Mel, who was 6, and in a very different way to my older sister, who was, you know, 13. So I think that's what this weekend really taught me as well, is that I might be healed and I might see things differently now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have. You know, I never thought I kind of even like needed healing from that moment in my life, so that was really amazing that that even came up, to be honest. It was one thing I did not expect. You know, before you do these kind of seminar weekends at our church, you kind of think, well, this might come up and this might come up. I mean, I certainly always do. I think I paint a picture completely different to what I expected, but yeah, thank God I feel completely different about certain things. So
that's very good. It's very deep. We go deep straight away.
That's me, right? That's who I am.
That is Natasha, and we love her for it. I call her Tash, so I'm just gonna call her Tash.
Yeah, we can be Tash.
Because I feel like it's really formal calling her Natasha. Like,
yeah, I was never Natasha till I became a model. You know that?
Oh.
Never.
Oh my gosh, we've got so many to talk about. Right, rewind. Let's get to the part. What is Transforming Heart Seminar? Because a lot of people may not know what that is. What is it? I don't even know what that is exactly. Explain.
There's this company called FFI, which I didn't know. I found out yesterday that it's called Family Foundation something. I don't know what the I stands for. There's this amazing company that I don't really know much about. All I know is that I did the seminar in May called HMPAS Blessing Generations, and that was really about figuring out maybe the things, like, let's say, the curses and the blessings that were put over your life maybe through family generations, and figuring out what maybe you needed healing from that isn't your fault, wasn't your fault, wasn't even maybe your parents' fault, but, you know, had become a part of maybe your behavior. And I suppose I look at it as the culture of who you are. And when I did that in May, I was really expectant because everyone in our church had really spoke highly about it, but I didn't have any clue what I was going to. But I really was, yeah, transformed literally from that weekend, and it really changed my mindset and a lot of things. It really healed me and made me feel a lot freer. When the Transforming Hearts one came up, I was like, yeah, done, I'm doing it. So yeah, Transforming Hearts, the kind of topic they said was, I think freedom from shame was the word they used. Yeah, softening your hardened heart. But for me, I was just like, I'm just gonna transform my heart, whatever that means. I had no clue, really.
Right.
The way that it works is you do like a sermon, so you listen to this amazing guy called Craig Hill preach, and then you go into your small groups and you talk about stuff, and God really talks to you, to be honest. And so yeah, but it was remarkable, like, you know, it was really profound. I just feel really different. I feel much lighter. I mean, look, the way that God healed me on Friday with everything about my dad, even the fact that I can say my dad without saying my real dad, is a massive thing for me. I had no idea that I needed healing from it. So yeah, my family are amazing. You know, my mum is another thing that came up for me yesterday, that, you know, people kind of have said stuff about my mom and whatever, because actually I thought my mom is the epitome of resilience, you know, and she's the epitome of strength. Like, she was left with this really actually beautiful house, you know, but I'm sure it was quite expensive to kind of keep up in an area where maybe, I don't know if anybody else had a single parent. You know, I didn't look at it like that when I lived there, but I was just thinking about my mum yesterday and thinking about how rough it must have been. You know, she was just about to give birth when my dad left. And
wow,
you're pregnant, you've got one kid that's 6, one kid that's 8, and one kid that's in high school that's 13. You know, you're not working because you're about to give birth, and then the guy that obviously is making the money has gone, and like, what, you know? And so yeah, I really feel like even God gave me a new perspective on that for my mom. And I sent my sister a video last night to apologise, because something came up this weekend about how when people doubt you, you know, and you say, I want to go do this career, and then people doubt you. And my sister, when she was younger, wanted to be a midwife. She is a midwife now, but I doubted her. And God really showed me that yesterday, that I doubted her. And I'd been like, I hadn't been like, don't do it, but I'd been like, oh, yeah, sure. You know, and you do that with your siblings. We speak such really hard, horrible things over our siblings, especially. And it's like, when you grow up with your siblings, you kind of watch them, they do something, they give up, and then you go, oh yeah, cool. And you know, I did that with ballet. Like, I gave up ballet because my friend did, and I should have carried on. And it's like, I just sent my sister a text, and I just said, I just want you to know I'm really proud of you for your career, and I think you're an amazing midwife, and you know, it's not easy what you do, because she's got 2 babies, and it's just remarkable like how she makes it work. But yeah, I just thought, you know what, let me just deal with this now, you know, let me tell her that actually I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm sorry I ever doubted you.
I didn't even know you played ballet. You danced.
Yeah, I did ballet.
You did ballet?
Till I was like 11, yeah. And I had a friend called Fen. Shout out Fen. Actually bumped into her mum not long ago in Untitled. Her mum's amazing. She looks the same. Her mum used to I used to be really homesick when I was a kid. I don't know if I've told you that.
No.
Super homesick, and to the point where I wouldn't even stay at my friend's house. And I think a lot of that comes to do with maybe my dad leaving and all this stuff. But I remember I used to go to sleep in my friend's house, and her mum would sit with me until I fall asleep and stroke my nose like this.
Oh.
Yeah. So shout out Mel Davis, because she...
That's so nice.
It was, yeah, she really left a lasting impact on like me, really. She's one of the only people I can remember that doing that for me as a kid. Like her and my gran, I could stay at their house and my grand's house. Everybody else, my mum would pick me up at midnight.
Because of your crazy childhood, did you have a good community though? Like, did your mum have a good community around her?
I think my grandparents, you know, they were really supportive. They were really there. And that was really amazing. You know, I remember even when my youngest sister was born, and obviously my dad had just left, my gran actually moved in and lived with us for a while, and she would drive us to school every day. And actually my mum lost a lot of blood when she gave birth, and so I remember literally being 8 years old, and my gran would drive us to hospital every morning to see my mum. At that season of my life, my gran was really there, and my mum had some amazing friends like that woman I just mentioned.
I've asked her once, I said, do you have any hobbies at all? Instead of being everything, turn it into a business. She's an incredible business entrepreneur, which you're going to talk about all of that in a minute. Do you have hobbies? Why do you not have hobbies if you don't?
Yeah, you said you were like, what do you do hobbies wise that's not the gym? She was like, you can't count the gym as one. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And I think, to be honest, the gym then, when you asked me that a few months ago, was a really big part of my schedule routine. But I think now my hobbies, I've definitely become more conscious since we had that conversation. But I think it's just a case of making sure that I have not necessarily a hobby booked in, but more like, you know, social time, and make sure I have rest time, and then make sure I do go and do things for fun, rather than like having a hobby that I'm like committed to. I feel that for me, it's definitely about headspace, you know, like, have I had rest? Have I had social time? And obviously I have a boyfriend now, so I want to see him. And so I think there's like the mental capacity of like, what are you doing to support you and encourage you outside of my work? I suppose that's how I look at it.
So why do you think the fact that you never really had a hobby or...
This is really, it's like an extension of Transforming Hearts happening right here. I mean, it's funny because obviously I did ballet and I quit that. All through high school I did netball and trampolining, and then when I was 16 I got told I had scoliosis, so I had to quit both those sports.
Oh my goodness.
Because I really loved sports, and to be honest, I think if I had not quit those, I probably would have carried those on through to university, because I just really loved both those sports, and I wasn't the best at either of them, but I didn't do it because I was competitive. I did it because I just enjoyed the sport. I think netball, you know, being in that netball team at school was quite cliquey, and I didn't necessarily feel very good a lot of the time. I didn't necessarily feel like, oh yeah, I'm accepted here, but I didn't do it because I wanted to be accepted. I did it because I really enjoyed the sport. And actually that's quite funny thinking now, maybe I've not pursued a hobby in recent years, because actually maybe it felt like a lot of hobbies were taken away from me, you know, like I quit ballet for whatever reason, and then I had to stop trampolining and had to stop netball. How
did that affect you mentally as a kid?
All of a sudden everyone in my family was quite panicked, like, oh, what's going to happen to you? You know, and I was having a lot of MRI scans and a lot of x-rays, and there was talk about having a brace because of my spine, how curvy it was. It would be interesting actually to see now what the curvature is, because I mean, look, I've been kind of working out on and off, I would say probably for the last 8 years. That has made a really profound impact on my back and my sleep. When I say my back, I mean in terms of pain, and that was the thing that kept me up at night when I was a teenager before I got diagnosed.
Is that how you kind of got into fitness then?
Yeah, I toyed with the idea of running a half marathon, really out of principle of people telling me I would never run again. But then by the time I was 22, I was eating better, I was sleeping better, and you know, my diet had really transformed my sleep. Yeah. And I kind of thought, well, let's try and work out, let's see if it's as painful as it used to be. And it wasn't, so I carried on. And then I just got this mad idea to do a half marathon. Yeah, back then, working out and being fit as a vegan or as a vegetarian was like not a thing, you know? This is what year are we talking now? 2015, I think?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was just not a thing. And I went vegetarian, I went pescatarian, vegetarian, then vegan. And when I ran my half marathon, I was veggie. And I remember everybody, the talk was always like, you've not got enough protein, you've not got enough this. And I just was like, just shut up, like, let me run my half marathon. I feel.
When did you find God?
When I was younger, I remember praying And I don't know if at the time I really understood that that's maybe, I didn't understand the power of what I was doing, I think is what I'm trying to say. But I remember praying like, can it just change? Please let it change. And I had a couple of years ago, I felt like God reminded me of that I'd prayed for that. And then obviously my dad left just before I was 8. You know, if you told that story, people would have probably thought, oh, so everything must have got better when your dad left. And as part of that is, some parts of that are very true. Many other parts are not true, in the sense that it wasn't that things got extremely better. I think we as a family stepped into a different season. And I think we were all reeling from such traumatic things. None of us knew how to heal from that. And I think that my teenage life was really turbulent, and that is nobody's fault really. I think I just was very out of control with my emotions. I actually felt like I lived a double life. I went to school and I was friends with everybody and I got on with everyone, and I was really good at studying. I loved it. I forced myself to be good, let's say. I think it was a bit of an escapism for me probably. But when I went home, I didn't want to spend time with my family. My mum used to call me a hermit, and I would sit in my room by myself and not talk to anyone. That was yeah, that was my life a lot of the time. I didn't know necessarily how to deal with my emotions. An angry teenager, which is even worse because you're going through your hormones. Finding God was, I don't know, as a teenager, I definitely don't think I blamed God, because I didn't really know that was an option. Came to London 2016. Yeah, 2017 started to ask questions. Actually, sorry, probably 2016 I probably started to ask questions, and there is, yeah, a guy called Ellie in my life. Yeah, I met Ellie in 2014, and he was Christian and became one of the biggest parts of my life now, so there's a hint for you. He always really has been the last 8 years, and when I met him he was a Christian, and we weren't immediately close straight away, but over kind of a few years we became really close, and I would tell him everything, and I'm talking everything. He would really guide me and share really amazing advice and be a bit like a counsellor, and I don't mean a counsellor like a therapist counsellor, I mean like a friend counsellor, like how I have with you now. And I would ask him stuff, and you know, I'd ask questions, and I really thank God that I was never afraid to ask Ellie really hard questions. But in 2016, yeah, I started to ask more stuff, and that's when I'd started modelling. And then 2017 went to Milan, had my crazy episode as a model in Milan, and then I really started to ask Ellie more questions, I think. And then he introduced me to you and Naz. Well, I suppose Naz first, but yeah, I came to LNC church, the church I go to now. I mean, I remember being sat in church thinking, what on earth is going on? Like, I don't know where I am, like I don't know what this is about. And I'd been to a church in London a couple of times before then, and it just felt really off, but I knew something was happening because I was really feeling it. It must have been my spirit trying to talk to me, but at the time I didn't have the words. And then I think I went to America for about 6 weeks, and then I came back, and then you invited me for coffee. I did end up going away for about 3 months, and then I came back, moved in a house in Stratford, which I shouldn't have moved into. Long story short, I think they tried to scam me. And you were like, didn't you just move? And I didn't answer the phone to you, and I just texted you. That? And you were like, didn't you just move? And I was like, yeah. And you know, me and Bex had only met twice, we didn't know each other super well, but she was like, but I thought you just moved house. I was like, yeah, me too. And then I got to my mate Arden, shout out Arden, got to his house and was just distraught, didn't know what to do myself. Staying with him was not an option. But thank God he kind of took me in that afternoon, and out of nowhere you called me. I think I did answer the phone then, and you were like, look, you can stay with us. And I was like, who's us? Like, I didn't even know, you know. And you were like, look, my friend Cara is away with her husband and her 2 kids, and you know, we've got this big house and you can stay in her bedroom, we've already checked it, she's fine. Me and Shelley are gonna come pick you up, where are you? And I was like, oh, who's Shelley? And yeah, that summer really changed my life, because then I moved in with you and Shelley, and at one point a girl called Sharon moved in with us, and I stayed in Cara and Christian's bedroom and had Cara's wedding dress hung over her wardrobe door, like staring at me. It was amazing. I was like, wow.
Full house at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot of us.
Basically all these girls who were just like in London, doesn't have anybody around, and we were just all at some point was in a very traumatic, like bad place. Yeah. And that house was like our safe house. We were just there.
It was our safe house, it's true.
Yeah, so it was like Mama
Shelley really saved.
Yeah.
She really saved us that summer.
And then they were just like letting us stay in this big house basically, and Cara, bless her, and her husband Christian.
Yeah, really thanked them as well, even though they weren't there.
Take the room. Yeah. Cool. We're like, okay, great. But I was already living there way before, right? I was already there like a year before. They rescued me.
Yeah, her first.
It's like a stray puppy. They rescued me first. I'm special.
What dog would you do?
And then golden retriever.
It was really amazing, and that is the summer that I met Jesus. And my scripture, even the example I can give you is my scripture this year is Matthew 7:7, which is ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find. And then it goes on to say, for everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and everyone who knocks on the door will be open to you. I think I merged a couple of versions there, so bear with me. That scripture has spoke to me in different ways throughout the whole year, and I think that now I understand what that truly means when you read the Bible and it reads you back. And your life changes, you know, and we're so blessed to have a God that would change with us, really. Sorry, God doesn't change, but be with us through the change of our lives is what I mean.
Question, what was it like for you when you met Jesus?
It was strange, but it was really, to be honest, it was really fun is the way I would describe the day that I met him. I remember at that time in my life I used to keep myself really busy, and I think when I look back now I can say that I had a lot of painful things that I was trying to just not really face. And I think that summer when I lived with you and Shelley, I think it was quite confronting. I didn't know how to receive it. I was really kind of like, I think I could have cried. Like I just was so bewildered. I'd never really seen love like that apart from maybe my own mum. And this woman didn't know me. It's not like I'd shown her how great I was and then she wanted to love me, you know, like she didn't know me. So, and then I think the day that I met Jesus was very joyful, and I didn't recognize it until I got home that day, but I just felt like I'd had someone with me all day. And I felt like someone was walking next to me, and as if like that part of my body was warm, that I was having a chat all day with someone and like decompressing my day as the day went on. And I just didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I was going about my own life. I felt like I was doing it with someone. And then I remember I was on the tube and I heard God audibly, and I
did you?
Yeah, I had my, it's the only time I ever have in that way anyway, but I had my headphones in. And I said in my mind, God, I wonder if you can hear me underground. And
did you?
Yeah, which is really cute and innocent. I remember kind of like, before I could even finish the thought, this loud voice went, of course I can hear you, I'm with you everywhere and I can hear you everywhere you go. And I took my headphones out and I was shook. I was looking at everybody on the tube. I was like, did someone speak? Like I nearly asked somebody if they'd said something, because it was so clear that someone had said something. And then I got home that day and I remember you and me and Shelley were stood in the kitchen. And I said, hey, and I don't know how I started the conversation, but we started talking and I started asking loads of questions. And I was, and you should, you know, if you're new to finding your faith, you really should ask those questions and not be afraid of that. I said to Shelley and Bex, we were talking about stuff, and I remember I was like, we need to go and help people. Wow, like,
it's amazing. You
know, they couldn't believe the day I'd had, but they were also like, wow, look at God. I'd say it was a level. I wouldn't say it was the moment where I really committed to living a life with God. I certainly, you know, even though I, you know, met Jesus that summer, it really changed my life. And then the year after I got baptized, I wouldn't even say it was probably till January 2019 that I really started to live for God in a very new way. And it was more of a, there was obedience there that I'd never really followed before. I mean, we run a business together, right? So at the same time, our business has changed so much at like over 4.5 years.
Do you want to tell people what the business is?
We run a company called Model Me. Our mission is to help people correct negative thought patterns and behaviour. I actually had the idea on New Year's Eve 2016, believe it or not. Went to Milan. I suffered from body dysmorphia because I starved myself and I believed what someone else said about me, and I made that very quickly my identity, and it was not the right thing to do, but at the same time, how was I supposed to know? That's how I felt, I think, at the time. And I just believed everything that they said and took it for gospel, and it was my modelling agency that said it. And when you're a model, a lot of the time you do feel like, oh, well, my model agent is my, you know, idol. They're the ones that get me work. They're the ones that make me who I am. It's not true, but that's how I felt. And we're talking 2016. 2017, went to Milan, the madness happened. Actually had body dysmorphia for about 2.5 years, and it's one of the reasons I actually quit in the end, because I realised that it was still something playing in the back of my mind that I wasn't so conscious of, and I thought, you know what, it's just not worth it. And it really isn't. Nothing is worth your mental health or changing your identity on who you are. And when I started Model Me, it was end of 2017, and I really have to honour someone who really encouraged me to start my business in the first place, because without him I don't know if I would have had the confidence to. And we don't work together anymore, but we started the business together in 2018. I mean, it was always my company, and I'm just very grateful I had the advisory from him. And when we launched, it was really just to create a safe space for creatives to come and talk and learn and grow and develop and feel like they didn't have to be somebody to come to the event, but actually they could just, you know, be accepted as they are. And so we did 9 events in 2018, 4 in America, 4 in London. And then 2019 came, actually that's when Bex came on board, and she was kind of already someone I was talking to a lot about the business. She said something to me like, oh, are you gonna charge for your events? Because, you know, if you don't charge, like, you're a charity, right? And I was like, we're not a charity. Like, I knew that's not what we were.
Did I say that?
I'm pretty sure you did.
I apologise. No,
it's not. It was good. It encouraged me to charge for my events and have the confidence that people would pay. I think one day it might have charity, you know, legs to it, but certainly we're a business, and that was kind of the structure we were going with. 2019 we did 34 events over 8 months, and we just like, yeah, went for it. It was wild and insane, and it was really, really remarkable what we actually got to do. I always look back at that year with such joy. Mentally and personally, I had one of the most revolutionary years of my life as well, but from a business point of view, it was remarkable what we got to do and how many people we got to help. And I say we because it wasn't even just, you know, me and Bex. It was a group of people that we had on board, like our ambassadors, and, you know, without them there was so much I wouldn't have been able to do, and venues that helped us the whole year. Like, it was amazing what people did. You know, they just saw, I think, that we were really passionate about this really amazing, I suppose in some ways it was a project then, because, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen next. People really bought into that passion, and we never paid for a venue from 2019, still haven't. Feel very, very, very blessed. You can't tell me that God isn't real after what happened in 2019. He opened so many doors for us, you know, venues, speakers, built, I think, a brand partnership database of up to 75 brands-ish that year. Really remarkable how people believed in us, and I'll never forget that year, and I really don't take it lightly. Did things in COVID that I've never done before as a businesswoman. You know, we grew our ambassadorships to, we had 31 ambassadors all over the world. Bex had a baby in COVID. Like, you know, it was hard. It was a really rough season, especially to run a business. But my boyfriend said something really profound to me in that summer. It must have been July 2020. And he said to me, look, we're in a really remarkable, interesting place, because every single business in the world has gone back to basically step one, and this has never happened before. Yeah, so COVID was COVID, but we grew a lot. We did a lot of amazing things. We helped a lot of people online. You know, I pray we honor God every day with what we do at Model Me.
Tell us at Model Me exactly what you covering, what type of talk that we usually have at the event.
Yeah,
we do fitness as well, so that's part of the category that we cover.
Yeah, we love that,
because we believe in spirit and soul and body.
The truth is, the reason why we choose a lot of our topic titles is because of our personal journeys. And as much as, like, I'm, I suppose, more of the face and then the front of it, a lot of the topics and conversations that we have, and also not just us, but really honour the friends that we've got, because if it wasn't for our friendship circle, you know, we wouldn't maybe necessarily realise some of the things that our friends struggle with. And we always ask the question, you know, if our friends are struggling with it, then, you know, other people must be too, surely. And then it kind of feels like sometimes I put on an event and I do it with one specific person in mind. I know this one person needs that, so let's do it for them. I would encourage you that if you come to a Model Me event, expect to work on yourself. And if you don't want to do it in that moment, I would say come and make notes and then go and work away on your own at home with it. But we really want to feed people. We really want to give you food, stuff that you can go away with and really, I suppose, chew on. I am not a surface level kind of person. I have no intention ever to run a surface level kind of business.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a really great time on this channel. The information that you've heard, everything is below underneath here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.